Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Market Snapshot series. My name is Rufas Kamau, Markets Analyst at FX Pesa. So, apologies for that. So, today we are going to have a very interesting session. We'll be looking at what's currently happening in the markets, key price levels, key trend lines that were established yesterday, and at the same time, we also be looking at Salesforce. So, Salesforce is a software company headquartered in the US, basically provides accounting systems as well as IT management systems. And it reported earnings yesterday at the market close, and there was a big surprise. So morning, John. Hello, Martin and Alfred. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining the session. So let's get on with it. So there's quite a number of things that we are expecting for the day. So if we go straight to the economic calendar, here it is. Early this morning, we had overseas trade index printing higher at 1.8% in New Zealand. Then we had capital spending in Japan rising 7.7%. The monetary base year over year down 1.6%, but this is an improvement from the previous month of 3.8% in Japan. Then building approvals in Australia take a big hit of negative 27.6% compared to the previous gain of 15.3%. So 10-year bond auction 0.50 over 7.6 bid to cover ratio. Consumer confidence 31.1 in Japan. And as you can see, all these is low impact news. So the only important news that we're expecting for the day is the CPI flash estimate. And this is for the Eurozone at 8.6% in the previous reading. So we are expecting inflation to cool down to 8.3% in the Eurozone. So if the number goes higher than the expectation, then that would mean that the ECB will get more aggressive with rate hikes. And if it's lower than that, then we might continue seeing a much weaker euro. So at the same time, we'll be seeing the unemployment rate in the Eurozone. So for the unemployment rate, previously it was 6%. We expect this to remain the same. And as we head into the New York session, we'll be looking at the unemployment claims in the US, and these will be expected at 4:30 p.m. So there will also be meeting minutes for the ECB at 3:30 p.m. This could be interesting to see how the members voted. And then as we approach the end of the day, we'll be looking at a speech from Reserve Bank of New Zealand Governor Adrian Orr. So as you can see, the day is expected to be largely quiet, nothing much happening. So this basically means that prevailing trends continue to happen in the markets. So yesterday, we had quite a surprise, especially with the major currency pairs, all of them testing major resistances and changing direction. So for instance, for the New Zealand dollar, made a surprise gain, breaking this particular trend line, going all the way up to this resistance, and then dropping further sharply. And this was quite common also for the euro, made a surprise rally all the way up and then changed direction. For the pound USD, broke the upper trend line a couple of times before getting back into the pattern. For USD CAD, it was among the most interesting positions because it went as we projected. So you are projecting the market would bounce from here. So in the afternoon, we had a big surprise bounce. You can see the tall green candlestick here. So the market went back to test the same level and then pulled back even higher. So we are expecting that the market will continue pushing higher. However, it's important to note that this particular trend is weakening as a result of these failed breaks here. So 1.36643 seems to be a very important resistance for USD CAD. So every time the market has gone up to this level, second and that time, price has failed to break that level. So we might be expecting the price to test the level one more time. However, it's a very key and important resistance to watch. So either a break above that area or it serves as the beginning of the bearish trend. So USDN, I think this was the most important one. We managed to monitor these resistance levels yesterday. So while price was going down, we were expecting price to bounce along this level. So if I zoom out, you can see there's a trend line extending from the beginning of February. So from then, the market has largely been obeying that trend line. So whenever it goes back down to that area, you see a very strong entry by buyers. So the targets were hit. So now we are looking at a potential whether the market will be breaking this level or not. If there's a break, we continue trading higher, but if it holds as a resistance, then we wait for the market on the lower side of the trend line. So as for gold, it was a similar case, a surprise run, retest, and then a continued movement upwards before meeting this resistance and then changing direction. So the resistance was expected along this area. You can see these price levels where gold was unable to break, but then yesterday managed to find resistance here and immediately changed direction. So majority of these trends were being influenced by the strength of the dollar. So as you can see, for the better part of the week, the dollar was quite bearish on Tuesday, bullish on this was Monday, bearish, bullish on Tuesday, and then further bearish on Wednesday before making a surprise recovery yesterday in the afternoon. Then this morning, you can see it's a sequence of continued strength of the dollar. So basically implying that these particular trends might continue for the rest of the day, where in this case, gold is losing to the dollar, the yen is losing to the dollar, the euro, the CAD, and so on. So AUD/USD was also a very interesting price level. So yesterday, as we were having this session, we were expecting the price to get to this area. So we marked this area as a point of interest. And you can see as the market got to this area, immediately found resistance and dropped downwards and then kept pushing down. And you can see now we are headed lower. So a very interesting target point would be on the lower trend line. So around this area might be a nice target for AUD/USD short sellers. So the indices were the best performers yesterday. And by best, I don't mean they were going up. It meant there was very good positions. So yesterday, we identified this area as a potential entry point for short selling positions. So in this case, the market got to this area and made a surprise drop. And since then, we are seeing some continued fall in the S&P 500, yet marking another continued week of sell-off in US equities. So US30, also the same thing, rose all the way up. Yesterday, it was around here, made a drop and then a rally towards midnight. Then we can see the continued sell-off happening here. So it was the same case for the US Tech 100. So market rallying all the way, got to this particular resistance, and since then, some further sell-off. So I expect these particular trends to continue throughout the day. And the most noisy one was the Brent oil price, which rallied all the way up, pulled back to this support, resistance, support, and then resistance, support. And now there was this break that we were largely anticipating yesterday. So it did not happen here. So the expectation was that after this sequence of candlesticks testing this resistance, we expected a break, but this did not happen. The market dropped, made a recovery, quite a noisy day yesterday, and then eventually broke towards midnight. So this morning, surprise pullback, and now there is a good chance that we'll be seeing the market now trend above this area. So as you can see, the price chart of Brent oil was finding this resistance tough to break, but now there's a good potential that we'll be seeing the same idea play out, but no longer here, but now in this area here. So depending on the close of this candlestick, we might be seeing some further upside. So there is a good chance we'll be seeing continued activity happening in Brent oil. So besides that, we also had discussed this particular resistance here in the FTSE 100. So market managed to make a strong rally, but once it got to resistance, there was a big sell-off and seems to be continuing. So we might be expecting some further downside in the London-based index. That's the UK 100. So as for Bitcoin, similar case, a rally yesterday followed by a pullback, and now we are seeing more pressure attempting to push prices lower. So the Chinese currency made a surprise strength against the dollar yesterday as a result of the rise in manufacturing, which was a decade-long rise or a decade record rise. So since then, after the dollar started strengthening, we are seeing a very strong reversal here, where the market is now pricing in the fundamentals, where on one side, we are seeing a very aggressive Fed in terms of hiking rates, and China is maintaining rates level at 3.4%. So yesterday in the evening, we had a speech from Fed member Kashkari. He mentioned that his interest rate projections in December were 5.4%, but now he's looking at even higher rates. So even from what we saw from Bank of America yesterday, they are projecting that the US interest rates could rally all the way up to 6%. So it's becoming a common expectation among major investment bankers that interest rates don't have to stop at around 5.4%. There is a good chance they could rise higher to 5.75, 6%, or even higher. So with that in mind, we are seeing some continued strength. Remember, the dollar index is now trading above its weekly open. So today being Thursday, you can see Wednesday, Tuesday, and Monday. Sorry. So it's recovering from the big sell-off that was happening. And now we are looking at potentially higher prices for the week. After opening the week here, pushing down second day of the week, that day, and now the fourth day, we are seeing a recovery. So we could be seeing the dollar index recover. So on the weekly chart, we could be seeing the candlestick turning out to be a doji of some sort. So if the current rally continues, this red body will be eliminated and it will be a bullish candlestick, indicating the continued strength of the dollar. So as you can see, we've had, this is a 5 consecutive weeks of the dollar index strengthening. So if this manages to cross higher in the green, then it will be an indication that the dollar will continue rising even for next week. So that being said, we focus on the one big news that we have for the day, and this is Salesforce. So Salesforce has been on a bearish channel. This has been very similar with other stocks as well as the S&P 500 index. But then we saw this big break happening here in January, February, there was a pullback. And now as we enter March, you can see there's some continued strength indicating a reversal of this preceding trend of last year. So last night we had this announcement, that is the Salesforce earnings, and also an earnings call. So from the article here from Yahoo Finance, so Salesforce co-founder and CEO Mark Benioff just tossed an already hot potato back to 5 angry activist investors. So the tech titan beat Wall Street earnings estimates and served up surprisingly strong full-year profit guidance after the close on Wednesday, as reported by Yahoo Finance Ari Garfinkel. So the company also unveiled a new 20 billion stock buyback plan, and this is a big news. So if there's a 20 billion stock buyback, we know that's a instant demand that eventually pushes stocks higher. And told investors on the earnings call, it disbanded its internal mergers and acquisitions committee, an important signal to investors clamoring for tighter spending. So shares surged 16% in after hours trading, and Salesforce ticker page rocketed up the most visited list on the Yahoo Finance platform. So we have hit the hyperspace button. This was a quote from Benioff, and this was in reference to an interview with Yahoo Finance, referring to initiatives to move faster and improve profitability. So just in case you didn't know, Salesforce was among the top first companies to add artificial intelligence to their products. And so far they have been performing well. So if you look at the stock performance, there was this big jump yesterday, even before the announcement of the earnings. And now, if you look at the performance of the stock in after hours trading, then it's expected to open up 15.79%. So from the previous closing price of yesterday, 167.35, we will be expecting the stock to open at 193.68. So with this in mind, with 193.68, this means that the big jump is way above this area here. So if we zoom out my chart here, you can see, let's use a bigger time frame. So we will be expecting the stock to open with a big gap towards the upper side, and it will be starting to trade at 193. So somewhere around here. So we'll be expecting the stock to open here, and perhaps even some further upside for the stock, since it's among the best performing stocks in the US, especially in the tech sector. So thank you very much, guys. Thank you for your time. If there's any questions, I would like to check on that now before we end the session. So hi, I'm new, very expectant. I don't know what you mean by that, but welcome to the session. Remember, this is something we do every Monday to Thursday at 11 a.m. Usually takes about 15 minutes. So hopefully you get an update and you get to grab some key price levels that you could use for trading for the rest of the day. So there's a question, where is the seminar and how do you attend? So we have a seminar that is happening this week. The seminar will be in E3 Urban Hotel, and this will be happening on Saturday from 9 a.m. So I'm trying to find the link so that I can share with you guys so that you can book and purpose to attend. So just a moment, trying to find the link to the event. So there is the link on the live chat section. So can you elaborate on oil fundamentals like yesterday's and how they impact, if they are positive or negative, and how minutes from those speakers impact the market? I think we discussed Fed member Kashkari and what he mentioned. So the overall outlook is that the Fed will continue hiking interest rates, and the overall effect in the markets is that the dollar continues strengthening, as you have seen. The dollar index has been up for 5 consecutive weeks. This would be the 6th if it turns out to be positive. And then the equities tend to weaken from higher interest rates. So I didn't quite catch where gold is headed because I was up for a bullish setup. Now I'm lost mind interpreting more on gold. So as I mentioned with gold, what we're expecting is some continued dollar strength, and with dollar strength, some further downside momentum. So my personal expectation is that gold continues trading lower. So it's very common that whenever a market breaks a key trend line, it often does a retest. So there was a retest here, and it doesn't have to happen once. So we could be seeing gold retesting this price level. So notice the movement up, movement back down, and then all the way up happening yesterday. So my expectation is we see this swing happening all the way down to 1822. So if you're an intraday trader, there's a good chance you'll be seeing gold erase all yesterday's gains and drop back down to 1822. So thank you very much, guys. Thank you for your time, and I hope to see you on the next session.